My husband has this saying. It goes a little bit like sometimes when you're right, you're wrong. Or he says sometimes when you win, you lose. And most of the time I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, when you're right, you're wrong. But I actually, I know what he means now. I really do. Especially the sometimes when you win, you lose. And I don't think people know that they lost yet because they're so happy about winning. And I'm talking about the Republicans. There has been this ongoing desire to crush the Democratic Party. I think just to like completely eradicate them. And so much of it, I think, is because they truly believe that they are evil. I mean, I don't think all Republicans think that, but I do think there's a vast majority of people who think the Democrats are just like horrible, horrible people. And there's levels of that belief, but some people really do believe that we eat babies and are in some sort of satanic cabal. And I think some people just think that there's a crime family and all this criminality happening, even though there's zero proof of that. There's zero proof. There's just conspiracy theories. Currently, today is February 5th, 2025, and Donald Trump was just on the news saying he was going to take over the Gaza Strip. What does that mean? I don't know. I mean, I've never heard anything so ridiculous. But it does mean that we have essentially pissed off the Middle East. There are going to be no allies there. Zero. Remember that little thing called 9/11 when people flew planes into the Twin Towers? How horrifying that was? I fear we're going to see that tenfold. That was a small little group of men trained in Afghanistan under the Taliban that put that together. Now imagine having like Turkey and Egypt and Iran and all Middle East countries come together for one common interest: to destroy America. On top of it, we've pissed off our European allies. We've pissed off the people next to us, Canada and Mexico, whether we went through with the tariffs or not. I guess my question is like, what is a bridge too far? Is there one big thing, or is it going to have to be like an individual thing that comes to your doorstep where you realize it's affecting you and your life and you did that? And they're so convinced that news, the journalists, are part of the whole corrupt cabal that they won't even tune in to hear what's going on. So they're in this bubble. But I want you to think about journalism and investigative journalists, right? Their stories that they brought to the American people have made significant change. So think about, especially if you're a baby boomer, think about the Vietnam War and them bringing on the front lines that war into the American people's home through their television, and American people seeing what was happening. Think about the civil rights movement and the pictures and the video of white police officers with hoses and batons and German shepherds and dogs attacking black people simply for asking for the right to vote. Think about the women's movement and them burning their bras and the fact that they don't have the same rights to enter into certain institutions that were predominantly white men. Think about like the fact that we still make less money today. It is the journalist that brought the images and the stories, and just realize they're stories, they're people's stories, they're whistleblowers' stories, they're stories of things that are happening. And they brought those stories to the American people. They brought them into our living rooms when you didn't have a million channels and you couldn't get news wherever you wanted, and people didn't question it. The people saw these things and were outraged. They were outraged when corporations were polluting their families. They were outraged when we were sending our young men to fight. We were outraged that we weren't allowing our fellow Americans, no matter what the color of their skin was, to vote, to be part of the democratic process. We were outraged as Americans. And what did we do? We acted. We acted on that outrage, and we made our politicians work for us. And that's what started the civil rights movement. That's what started the equal rights movement in 1970s. And that's also what started Project 2025. Because Project 2025 saw all of these changes. And you know what they saw? Black people and white people coming together, women and men coming together, groups of people fighting for the same rights together. And you know what that togetherness does? It makes change to better the population, all of us. But corporations, people who want control, foreign entities, keep us fighting with each other, and we will be able to be controlled. That's what's happening to us, right? They're telling us, first things first, don't watch the news. That is the first thing you do when you want to kill a democracy, when you want to control people. When somebody tells you, when anybody tells you not to look at something, not to read something, not to watch something, and they tell you it's fake, that is the first light bulb that they're trying to control you. The mainstream media is kneeling. They're bending the knee to the administration. They're already, one of the things you need to look at, and I'm going to do a video on this separately, but they're coming after NPR and PBS. They've had a campaign for decades against PBS and NPR because it works for the people. It's there for the people. And they know that access to that information is going to inform people. And people who are informed change government. They change things for the better because they advocate for themselves and their neighbors and their fellow Americans. They know that. So they want to take this away. And ask yourself, just why would I not look at it? What is it about watching PBS or NPR or anything or reading anything that scares a person? It scares them so much. And I go back to, because when you're woke, you might be alone. You might be by yourself. I had to get rid of all my friends, but I also had to do that when I wanted to lose weight because I wasn't living that drinking, going out and eating lifestyle, and they were. So I had to make other friends, or I had to, for a period of time, just not have any friends and learn to love myself. The reality is, people, we may be surrounded by people, but at the end of the day, we are alone. We are unto ourselves our own spirit. And it is within us to make sure that our life, whether there are people in it or people not in it, within our life is glorious. It is up to us to do that. And we cannot do that in a society where our fellow Americans are being repressed, because when they're repressed, we are repressed. And what's happening right now with pulling out of all of these organizations, these international organizations, are going to make us so unsafe. Remember The Godfather. Everything you can learn in life, you can learn from The Godfather. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. There's no reason to retreat and to withdraw from all of these organizations. You want to be close. You want to be close so you protect the people of your country. Not knowing what's happening is dangerous. Remember The Godfather. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Don't be afraid to read. Don't be afraid to look at something else. Don't be afraid to wake up. It's the water's fine. Come on in here. Because people who are not woke are in a very, very dangerous situation. You will not be prepared. You will not be ready for what is going to happen. And my husband and I, and the people we know, we're preparing because we're listening. We're listening. So I'm begging you, if you're a Republican, if you're a Trump supporter and you're listening to this, I'm just simply asking you to look at other information. I'm simply asking you to open your mind and understand how things work. It is not that hard. It's not that scary. But if you care about yourself and your own safety, and you care about the health and well-being of your children and the people around you, you'll simply look. If I told you there was a robber or a criminal behind that door and he's in here to like steal from you, would you not look because you don't trust me? Because I'm a Democrat, or because I'm, whatever, I'm a woman? Like, would you at least look? It wouldn't hurt you to look and see if I was right and there's actually a robber or a criminal behind that door wanting to hurt your family. I'm simply saying that there's somebody that wants to hurt your family, and I'm simply asking you I'm simply saying, be smart enough and look, and you judge. You judge. Understand how things work. Understand why the USAID is there. Understand how much we spent. The budget was like 1%. Understand what it does and who it helps. We're making sure that we can instill our values into those countries. Why? That's allowing us to use the very, very small percentage, 1% of our budget, to go and help these organizations, protects us, because it allows us to make sure that they're safe, we're instilling our values, and nobody else is coming in to radicalize them or make them hate America and turn them into enemies of our country. Because it's very easy to radicalize people and then train them to get into a plane and fly it into a bunch of buildings. And not being in those countries is what we're doing. So it's very, very serious, people. It's very serious. And I beg you, please, again, just look. Just read a couple things. Just be involved. Please protect yourself, protect your fellow Americans. And I'll come back and I'll be teaching you guys some stuff about history that I've been learning that's very interesting, especially for Black History Month. So I love you guys. I love y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.